Just nonsense analysis. Hi, dear viewer. So here we are again, and today we're going to be talking about the Women's World Cup, currently underway. So 8 players left, and four of those players from India. Um, there was the first round today, and then I mean game one, and tomorrow will be game two, right? But the interesting thing to note here is that okay, there are 4 players from India, but two are playing against each other, and that is Harika plays against Divya Deshmukh. First round today was drawn, so we'll see what will happen tomorrow. Yeah, this for me is a very interesting lineup, and it's a real test for Deshmukh. I mean, Harika is very experienced, a very experienced player who will be there. So let's see what's going to happen. I mean, I think that anything can happen there in that match. Deshmukh has been playing very interestingly, and she's a fighter. She's an amazing fighter. So I'm expecting this one to go right down the wire. I'm thinking that tomorrow will also be drawn, and then it's gonna go to the tie breaks. Anyway, let's have a look. Let's see what will happen there. Another match. So Lei Tinji won today from China. Grandma's from China. She won today against Jagnice Nana, and then Tang Zhongyi, one of the favorites, grandmaster from China, drew against another one, grandmaster from India, one of the favorites as well, against Vaishali Ramesh Babu. That's Prague's sister, draw. And then the game that we want to see, we're going to look at today was between an international master from China, Song Yukin, against Grandmaster Koneru Humpy from India, one of the favorites as well. So yeah, so in this match, I mean, Koneru Humpy has a rating here of 2536. She has been higher, of course. She was like at a peak. I mean, she was way over 2600 at one stage, and then she plays here Yuxin Song, who's 2410. So I'd like us to have a look at this game. Let's go all the way back to see what happened. So yeah, it was a sort of a quietish opening at first, and then gives chance to transpose to a Catalan. Yeah, Queen A4 check, knight D7 takes A6 and Queen C2. C5. Okay, there are many ways to play this position. Knight C3, but this is like one of the most, or at least rather the most modern. There are many questions are being asked in this manner, and white wants to take over the center. For example, if black were to take on D4 too early, white will play knight takes D4, and black will have the difficulty in getting out, especially this bishop, and then subsequently the rook as well, right? Because even if you do play rook B8, you can't play B6 because C6 is very weak. So a lot of K is needed, but okay, B5 is played, bishop F4, Queen A7. Black can play both, Queen A7 or Queen B6. Aronian, for example, prefers Queen B6, but okay. Queen A7 is also completely playable. D5, knight takes D5, starts to get a bit sharp. And here, I sort of looked at the database, and in this position, normally A4 is preferred here. Many games starting with A4 here, but Humpy plays E4. This is very interesting. It's not really a novelty because there was some Bratke game, grandmaster from Russia, who played E4 in this position. It's not the computer's first choice, but it makes sense. And when afterwards the computer doesn't disagree with it, at least, because it does make sense. You want to open up the center, you want to attack the king that is in the middle of the board. So white plays D4 and A4. Now, this is the point about pawns moving forward too quickly. Is that when they move into the opponent's territory, there's a tendency that squares can be weakened, and here in this position after B4, we see that the C4 square is weakened. But nonetheless, black is still in the game. This is just Black is playing very aggressively as well, trying to get a balance. A5, bishop b7, castles, bishop e7, all has been played before. E6. We're still following the break again. F takes e6, rook e1, and castles was played. Well, yeah, so the Indian doesn't like castles, and it does seem that after castling, black gets a very difficult position because white gets to be ridiculously active. And if you look at these three pawns here, the pawn on b4, the pawn on c5, and the pawn on d4, they tell the story of weakened white squares in black's position. So we will expect white at some point to play take on e6, double the rooks, imagine, then maybe at some point play queen c4, and black is going to be struggling to equalize in this position. So the move that is recommended is knight f8. I went further and kind of analyzed with the help of the engine to say, well, what's happening here, and how will white try to keep an advantage? And rook e5 is very interesting because rook e5 is a good move because it attacks, or rather puts pressure on both pawns, right? The pawn on e6 as well as the pawn on c5. And notice that these pawns are not protected by other pawns. So by definition, they are what we call weak pawns. And this also facilitates rook a to e1. So black cannot get out. But, this is where it becomes tricky because, the engine is able to comfortably uh, play. It says rook d1, d3, and then if queen c4, bishop d5, recommends rook takes d5, rook takes d5, and h4. And the position is unclear according to the engine, but I think for human practical play, this position is better for white because it is easy to play for white. It's much, much easier to play for white than it is for black. Your king is in the center, you cannot get out. Your knight on f8, your rook there. There's a question in terms of what are you going to do with the rook. Black's pieces, I mean, white's pieces are ready to jump into some squares. E4 is available for white's pieces. E5 is available. But nonetheless, black has got this d3 pawn that could create some counterplay. But the king is still in the center. So, yeah, this is the way to go. But I don't see many fans, many players being fans of the black position here and going into it. Anyway, that was the way to go, knight f8. But in the game, in today's games, castles was played, rook takes e6 and rook e1. So look at this position, such a beautiful position for white in terms of centralization. The e file belongs to white, and we have those weak white squares. And it's hard to imagine. And not only the white squares are weak, by the way, the black squares at the back, d6 is weak, and so on and so on. It's hard to imagine that black can really survive here. So bishop d6 was played, queen a8, and yeah, maybe this was last chance for black to really get an unclear position by sacking the exchange, but getting those pawns mobile. This was maybe the way that black should have tried. But okay, black played queen a8 and decided to do it this way. But of course, I like rook takes f6, very much a logical move because the seventh rank is weak and the white squares are very weak. We can see that the white pieces are going to go into the king side. Gf6, she played queen f5, rook e7 was also possible first, like so. No? Imagine, look at this rook and then look at the control that this rook is exerting on the seventh rank. Brutal. And we can imagine the other pieces coming in to help this rook, Very, very powerful position for white. For example, I would play queen f5 and then try to get in with the queen. Let's say queen e6 check, queen f7, and to attack the king. So, but queen f5 is also very powerful, very difficult position to defend for black here. queen takes f6, queen g5 check, knight h4. All the pieces are just falling into black's position. And yeah, once you get a position like this with combination of queen and knight, well, okay, rook as well, but mainly combination of queen and knight against a weak king, you know that it's completely lost for the opponent. Because the knight is so agile. I mean, have a look at this position. The knight wanted to go to f5 to coordinate on g7. Black blocks this, but now the knight goes to d5. So now the knight will go to f6 and threaten queen e8, coordinate on g6, coordinate on h7. This is very difficult. d3, okay. She plays knight f4 to attack this pawn and then grabs the pawn. And the knight is then back. Check. And the endgame is easily winning. White is 2 pawns up. And yeah, the rook game does not offer up like any survival. Yeah, you unfortunately you cannot get active. You know, I mean, if you go rook d2, white will just play rook e6 check, pick up this pawn, put the rook on b6, and these 2 pawns, connected pawns, will win on their own. They will just move forward. So black is really can resign here, but of course, one will fight on till one realizes now it's time. So yeah, very difficult task now for Yuxin Zhong, Yuxin Song to try and get back. She has to pay to win tomorrow's game. So yeah, it puts Koneru Humpy in a very good position. And yeah, the other matches also still a lot to play for. So very exciting stuff. And yeah, let's see. You know, I mean, I think this is very very exciting, and it is exactly as I have been predicting before that it's a question of how many Indian superstars are going to make it to the candidates. You know, so the other guys, especially China, they are really defending the world championship here because really, if you have many Indian superstars in the candidates, the chances of a challenger from India going to challenge the world championship are, of course, heightened. So fantastic. Let's see what is going to happen. Very exciting stuff. I really loved the games today. And then tomorrow there'll be more action. So yeah, if you did like that, guys, please do like, share, subscribe. Please, some variations. Maybe there are some variations that you see or ideas. You know, always welcome to jump in, please. And please don't forget to subscribe. And if you have subscribed, well, tell your younger brother to subscribe as well. And we've got, you know, we don't only follow top chess, but we also have things for beginners that are there in the channel. So we really are trying to invite and be warm to anybody who just loves chess. So yes, anyway, till next time, for now I will say checkmate.